Greetings YouTube and the RPG community / brigade. This is Rhaegar here again for another video. How's it going, guys? So, you know how I talked about doing a bit of Dresden stuff? Talking about my characters? Well, I've been in contact with my GM. Just got back from the group tonight and he's okay with me talking about it, talking about whatever I want, so that's cool. So I thought I'd give you a little rundown on the character I'm playing right now in Dresden. So, where to begin? Well, first I should tell you that in the campaigns we've been playing, a lot of them they've already done sessions in them, already either done a small campaign or a one shot. So they've been integrating me into the gaming group. This is the group I go to a house to play with a group of people. Usually I'm joining a story that's already been started or a campaign that's been going for a bit. So I could just create a new character, but to make it a speedy kind of process, we made the Dresden character with me and the GM together rather than just me on my own. Because I didn't know anything about Dresden. I've not read the rulebook. I don't know much about the setting. So it was a collaborative process. So we started out. Basically, I was like, so if we're going to play in a setting I don't know, and everyone else has got their characters, what kind of thing does the group need? You know, what role is missing? What hole can I plug, essentially? Because one of the good things about me as a player, I think, is I am pretty okay with giving anything a go, really. As long as I've had some kind of interest in something about the character, like, you know, this is something that gets me excited about playing that character. I'll run with it. I'll try that thing. I'll do it. I'll go for it. Give me an idea and I'll run with it. so yeah, we first started talking about they needed like a guy who had a kind of a physical presence. They had a couple of wizard type guys, sorcerers, and a changeling and sort of thing. So they needed something with a bit of something to do the punches and the physical stuff and the breaking down doors and the beating up of heavies. So I was like, I can be that guy. You tell me what you need. And at first I was like, oh, something like that, something quite cool. That would be like a werewolf. And I was like, I'll play a werewolf any day you want me. You give me a werewolf and I will play it to death. Quite literally, in some cases. But they were like, there's werewolf. In Dresden I was told that werewolves, there's different types of werewolves. Like the slobbering kind of monstrous werewolf that just sort of is a dervish of destruction and just throwing cars down roads, that kind of thing. But that didn't seem very subtle for an urban fantasy game, so I was like, maybe not. And then I was talking about another kind of spirit werewolf. No, it's not spirit, not the right word. I taught him a guy, like a shaman type guy, where you have like a physical item, like say like a wristband or a belt or a brooch or something, and that has some kind of power in it and lets you to transform into a wolf. And it's like kind of like a tribal kind of deal. Maybe about a clan who can do that. And I was like, that's pretty cool. I quite like the sound of that. That's alright. And there was old school kind of werewolves in a sense where you actually just turn into a wolf. You're just a guy who has a kind of thing and he turns into an actual like an actual wolf, not like a wolf, like a little wolf, kind of like a proper wolf, an alpha wolf, a real wolf. That's how I describe that. There. So yeah, we're talking about that, and I was like, that sounds pretty cool. I'd like to do that. And then my GM was like, well, there is something else I had an idea for. We could try. It's not done as often. It's a bit harder to, do, a bit more rare. And I was like, go on, because that's the thing. If you tell me there's something that's not been done before, or there's a quite a unique thing that's no one took crack at, I'll go for it. I mean, I'm not afraid to take risks. I'm not afraid to do the hard sell. I feel you should give it a try. Why not? Win or lose. Character dies. That's the worst that can happen most of the time. I'll give it a go. I'll give it a shot. Be fearless in role playing, right? That's a good motto to follow. And basically, what he was talking about is an emissary of power, which is what my character eventually did become. An emissary of power is essentially someone who is human, but has something divine about them. They've been chosen, either willingly or unwillingly, to represent that deity, and that is how they get their powers. Essentially, they have like a friend on high, essentially. So that is how my character, that's what my character became. He is an emissary of power, and his name is Connor. But he's a little different from most emissaries of powers, and in fact I think from the players who tell me, most emissaries of power are NPCs. Let's get that right. And, you know, because they're very powerful. You can't really play them. But in this case, this particular emissary, not so much. You see, because Connor is an emissary of power of an old Celtic god called Herne. Herne the Hunter, if you guys know your gods. And in this situation, Herne is a god in his twilight years. He's not strong like most of the ones in Dresden. He doesn't have a lot of followers. In fact, he's very few, and so he is essentially described in God's terms as a whisper in the wind. He's not got a lot of juice, but for one guy, he's got plenty. You know, for human, he still has quite a big impact. So yeah, that is essentially what he is. Now his backstory is quite a tragic one, really. Connor is from a very proud family from the countryside, set in England, and his family were the chosen ones of Herne. Essentially, they were his families for generations have been the emissaries of Herne, and his grandpa, when he was a child, his grandpa was the current one. Kind of a bit of a weirdo, kind of a bit odd, like you know, Connor found him a bit off, kind of a bit weird. You know, kind of go out in the night and disappear for a while, you know, a lot of the time. Didn't really know much about, you know, his grandpa. And then, from that age, from quite a young age, his family were murdered, essentially. There was an incident, he was out hunting with his uncle, and essentially he came back and his entire family was dead, house burnt down, you know, his life uprooted, something. Like when he saw them, they were just like they'd been ripped apart by something animalistic, something nasty. So Connor escapes, disappears, and spends his life on the run up until for a while. In fact, sorry, he doesn't make his life run. He eventually, when he discovers his family, you know, he falls into a coma. When he wakes up, he goes around. But when he's in the coma, he has a dream about a great creature. Half man, half sort of centaur. He's like, you know, like a stag, half human, half stag, that thing with horns and stuff going on. Approaches him and basically says, "I'm sorry," and touches him. He has a searing flash of light, and he wakes up, and he's never been the same since. He's quite an unfortunate life up until the point he meets the other characters. So essentially, what's happened is he has received the gifts of Herne at a very young age, and they were bestowed upon him by her because his grandpa was killed, who was the current emissary. His father was killed, who was the next in line, and he is the only survivor. So he essentially had that power forced upon him, which creates a very interesting dynamic because he doesn't know anything about magic. He doesn't know anything about his powers. He doesn't know anything about Herne. His family hadn't really. He was like, when they're allowed to live their childhood, and when they go to adulthood, they're brought into the family history, essentially. So he never got that. So he became quite a powerful individual, but he just doesn't know it. So that's what I really like about him. Connor is like, he's like an amnesiac, but he's not. He's like, he has all his faculties, he's not an idiot or anything, but he doesn't know really much about the power that's actually inside him. So for quite a long time, good several, 5 or 6 years, he spends drifting. He's homeless. He doesn't really have, wherever he goes, misfortune sort of follows him. So he keeps a low profile. And Herne talks to him in his dreams from time to time. Herne is he sort of gives him the impression that he is the last of his emissaries. In the dream sort of sequence, says, "You are the last. You need to survive. I'm trying to protect you," kind of thing. But you need to understand what you are, because when he wakes up, he doesn't really remember things clearly. He doesn't really. He sort of vaguely remembers things, but he doesn't have any idea who this thing is. He just thinks it's a dream. He doesn't really take it very seriously. So eventually he runs into one of the other player characters. This is obviously Herne's doing. And that's one of the really cool things about playing an emissary of power, is the fact that Herne himself can make an appearance. If he so chooses to, he can come through and he can talk to whoever is in front of him. which is how I get introduced. Basically, the other player characters are coming to this homeless shelter where I've been staying, because I've been drifting around in England, and you know, they turn up because they've said there's a very weird guy. One of the other player characters, who's like an illuminist, like something that can create light. I can't remember the name right now. Something that can create light. You guys might know that. I can't remember. That's gonna bug me now. But basically, yeah, she says this weird guy, me, you know, fair enough. It's giving a really kind of weird. Oh, he's odd. So they turn up to investigate and see what the deal is, because if I'm some kind of changeling or a zombie or something nasty, they don't want to deal with it because that's their job. One of them is a wizard, so he's trying to keep the peace. So when he turns up, Herne makes an appearance and all hell goes down. He's like, he basically asks the player character to give my character Connor instruction, teach him who he is. It's very interesting. I just sat back because the GM was telling this situation. I was like, oh, okay. I've blanked out. My character's gone. He's not conscious to what's happening. And Herne asks him to sort of take care of him, sort of give him instruction in what he is and help him develop his skills, because eventually his past will catch up with him and he needs to understand what happened to his family. He needs to understand the potential within him so that he can defend himself and not die, because Herne does not want to lose his emissary, essentially. It's not... he's helping him, but not exactly from a point of selflessness. He doesn't want to lose his connection with the immortal world, and that is what Connor represents, you know. And the more that Connor embraces aspects of Herne, the more he gets control. So, you know, and the wizard guy, Peter, is not too keen on really helping Herne in any shape or form. He believes, you know, basically enslave this mortal for no real reason, you know, just because you want a plaything. And he's like, well, he was never meant to happen this way. He was meant to understand what he was being given. Please help him before I ask a boon, because he's going to die otherwise. He has no idea how strong he could be or how fast he could run. He could defend himself, he could help others, he could help himself, but he just doesn't know. So reluctantly he sort of agrees to help, but that's the kind of interesting part dynamic, is that the party is trying to get me, at the same time, teach me what I can do, because it's helpful in a fight, but also sort of teach me to understand the magical world and move away from Herne, to break that link so that I don't become a puppet of him, which is, I think, really cool. Which creates really interesting dynamics, because my character knows nothing about magic in Dresden, just like me. I know nothing, but he, in certain situations, he is like the ace, and he's like the ace card, because Herne at any point, if he sort of chooses, can just come through and dish out information if he wanted to. He can protect him. In fact, at one point in the 2 sessions we've had in Dresden, we go to like a fairy nightclub full of fairies, you know, not fairies, but you know, like fae, fae, right? Elves, you know, vampires, that sort of thing. And you know, they were warning me basically. The wizards were telling me, like, if any music is played or any offers are made, do not accept them, because you don't know what you get yourself into. But as the GM pointed out, well, in fact, because he obviously has quite a powerful backer, that might not be a problem for him, because if someone tries to sort of take advantage of him, Herne might appear and be like, I don't think so, back off, buddy. So that's quite interesting. I really like this character. It's like, I've never played a divine character before, but it's a very kind of strange divine character. He doesn't know anything about the magic. He doesn't know anything about Herne, so it's kind of like exploring what he is connected to in his family's history, and how he's going to do with it, because the way he can be taken from the point on of the story, like, he has a few choices. He can either he can embrace the Herne's power and become a puppet of Herne, like he can sort of like fully take on all the abilities that he has hidden in him. He can try and distance himself and become just a normal mortal, if that is possible. He can use his abilities to an extent to try and third point, to try and get revenge, if revenge is a possibility for what happened to his family, because he doesn't really know why they were killed, but he definitely is pretty sure that they were murdered by something, because when he saw their corpses, that was not a normal kind of stabbing or shooting. They were mutilated. It was nasty. So yeah, like, you know, there's a few ways you can go, and at the moment I don't know where it's going to take it because the story hasn't really veered into my character's backstory direction at the moment, but I've sort of been swept up as they're sort of trying to help me, and I'm coming in quite handy because I don't know if you played Dresden, but if you've got a god backing you up, you're pretty damn strong. Like, at one point a vampire tried to get in my way and I punched him, obviously in game, not like I didn't actually physically punch anybody. And most people punch him and they kind of like oof, or you know, kind of like stagger back. Vampire's quite strong. My guy smacked the creature, and it bent backwards. It snapped backwards into the ground. It was just. And we're talking like Hulk strong, when he wants to be, and it was in self-defense. Like, he wasn't really trying, but he's got some serious juice when he needs it. So I quite like having that kind of tough guy image. He's like, he doesn't look tough, but he is dangerous, extremely so. So yeah, that's my character. That's Connor, the emissary of power for Herne. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I've enjoyed telling you about him. So hopefully I'll do some more later down the line about what Connor does and how the campaign goes. If he, you know, gets to find out what happened to his family, that kind of thing. If you're interested, let me know. Until next time, guys.